Alrighty, here we are, mate. Good to see you again.
Likewise, mate. Good to be here.
Absolutely. Well, we're here for an auspicious occasion today. We have given away our first $250 gift card to this wonderful man, Hale, from the Grand United Cricket Club. How many hours did you have to do to get this card, Alan?
I reckon that one was about 600, 650, something like that.
600 hours. So to put that in perspective, 600 hours as what role?
President, junior coach, curator,
Right.
barman.
Your life is there. You got a girlfriend, a wife, and all that sort of
Yeah, I
stuff?
got a lovely partner, Ash.
She must be very generous.
Yeah, she is. She supports what I do a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, she sees the enjoyment I get out of it.
Yeah.
So I think that's
Yeah. And how many years have you been doing this, mate?
I started at Grand United when I was 8 years old. And yeah, obviously over the last 25 years
Yep.
at the club, sort of got on the committee when I was 17.
Amazing.
Started coaching juniors when I was 15 turning 16, helping with the under 11s, and
Incredible.
yeah, been at it ever since.
Yeah. It's amazing. Look, we're here really at the end of the day to basically come and say thank you. You know a little bit of our backstory, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But really, at the end of the day, I'm more interested in what your involvement is at the club, what you do on a daily basis. How do you get to 600 hours? And then who's the support network that sits behind you to make the club run? And because this happens across, I don't know, you're from cricket, right? So how many clubs across Victoria would there be?
Hundreds.
So there's hundreds of Allens out there, in truth.
Yeah.
And this is the whole point, right? So talk me through 600 hours at a high level, and you've talked about the roles generically, but what does it actually entail?
I guess that every day I get up, and we're sort of unique as a club. We operate 12 months of the year. A lot of volunteers, and probably split their time between footy and cricket or whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, I can't remember the last day that I haven't got up in the morning and given some time to the cricket club. And I can even look back to recently went to Fiji, and while I was in Fiji, I was sitting there on WhatsApp chatting to our committee that are back in Australia while I'm sitting back there, but obviously always still front of mind. So,
And you got a good committee?
The group's I guess transitioning at this time of year with the AGM coming up. We'll have a few new faces, and I think one of the pieces with Firefly document these hours, I've actually been able to have a good look at what I actually spend my time doing and where we actually need more help. So it's actually creating conversations around I need help in this area, because one of my flaws as a volunteer over time has probably been delegation. And as a club, whilst we've been big in numbers, we've probably been low in volunteers, and we're looking to build that base out. So I guess it's been a good realisation piece that since jumping on the app in May last year, exactly how much I've done, and I've sort of I've had 650 hours. There's still a bank of hours that I
that's exactly right.
there as well.
It's not
So I think that obviously going forward, that hopefully we'll have more engagement from more people, because as our participation base grows, the expectation can't be on single people to do more.
There's a story that goes that in order to, well, I've heard two stories, funny enough, because we are volunteers too, and that's why we started this thing. But the bit that goes is you've either got to find someone more stupid than you to take the role over, or you've got to be a professional recruiter, or both. So this concept of taking serious roles in organisations that make a difference to the local community, you can't take it lightly, because you're going to be in for tenure. So how many years as president now?
This will be, providing I get re-elected, it'll be my going into my fourth full year. But prior to that, I was secretary for 10.
Oh right. Okay. So are you expecting any competition for the president's role?
No, I don't think so. But what I've done, and working with another great volunteer at our club, Darren, is we've actually opened up the committee structure a fair bit. I guess traditionally clubs will have president, vice
Yep.
president, treasurer,
Yep.
secretary, and everyone else is a general committee. So
Yes.
we're actually expanding our executive committee to around 9 positions.
Oh, wow.
So president, 3 vice presidents.
3 vice.
Yeah.
So with very specific domains of
Yep.
requirement.
So, and that sort of is to split a lot of the tasks that I've personally, not to say I don't want to do them, but it also brings in different perspectives, and I think that engagement and recruiting piece was a big part of what Darren and I have done over the last 3 months really since the season finished.
Yes.
And I think going forward we should be in a much stronger place.
Interesting. So talk to me about that, because we know the volunteer conundrum. It's recruit, retain, they say reward, right?
Yep.
We know how hard that one is.
Yep.
But on the recruitment piece, that one's super hard too.
Yep.
What methods have you deployed? Like, what are you doing out there to make that easier for you guys?
So I reckon there's a false sort of idea out there that you've got to be at the club all the time to be a volunteer or to fill a role. So what I've been able to do, and Darren's been able to do as well, is engage people that might not always be at the club, but they've still got some real high worth with their skill sets. And sometimes it's just asking, from what we've learned, asking the questions. So example is we've got a couple of ex-players who live in different parts of Melbourne now, not within arm's reach of the club, but got really strong business skill sets. So we've been able to say, this sort of role, are you able to fill that? And the answer's been yes. And it's a conversation piece. We've also had another volunteer who's looking to step back from an executive role, but still really engaged. Instead of having him completely
immersed,
transition out of his role, we've been able to say, hey, here's a less time consuming role potentially. Would this interest you? And it's something that's part of your interest and your skill set. And he said, 100%, I want to be part of that. So we're getting a new pavilion at our club.
Wow.
And he's going to be our conduit between council and sort of that council liaison role in that. So moving from the treasurer role into that role instead of completely stepping away from any sort of engagement with volunteering at the club. We've been able to keep
So
involved.
spreading the diversity of the roles, extending that out a little bit, seeking people with skills that don't necessarily have to translate to being on site and all those sorts of things. So it's reframing how you go about your daily volunteering tasks. Let's talk about the Firefly app a little bit. We only literally met you guys, we'd just launched. We had a little chunk of money, which a great local business, Pegasus Group, was involved in allowing us to distribute on their behalf. What were the things that initially excited you around that concept, first and foremost? And then as you've used the tool, and you're one of the leaders on, if there was a leaderboard, you'd be on it, about the tool that you think has added value to your club and yourself, as much yourself as the club today, and then what do you think you would love that tool to be able to do in the future?
So I guess that internally, it's hard, like every day people are doing something for their clubs, and I've been able to use the app as sort of routinely, and it's sort of been a little bit of a realisation piece for me. But I guess that clubs traditionally people don't like taking anything as a freebie or a handout from the club, and I saw it as a way of saying to my volunteers, hey, I appreciate what you what you do at the club. Jump on here, log your hours. There's been with different volunteers. There's been differing levels of engagement.
I agree.
But ideally, I'd love to say, the junior coach that's there on a Thursday and Friday coaching the juniors, he jumps on the 100%. App, and then all of a sudden I've got a piece of work at the end of the year. I can say, well, volunteers if everyone's using it, well, it takes 200. I don't know.
It's going to be tens of thousands of hours.
That's what
it's going to be, right? To run this club, and we need to understand it as a group. So data's amazing when you've got it. I think I told a story when we caught up a long time ago about the footy club secretary, and she was asked by her husband to do the hours, and she did, and she was at 1,000 before the ball bounced. So we know the commitment, but I don't think everyone in the club understands the level of commitment. It's often hidden. So yeah, really cool to hear that piece. We've been playing around with trying to identify how we can motivate clubs to get their volunteers on more enthusiastically.
Yep.
And we're not sure whether it's a reward,
Yep.
whether it's being able to go and shop. We've just had a coffee at the local coffee shop and get a discount or get a voucher at the local coffee shop. Or is it the intrinsic piece that if you tell them that it's for the club, their cause and connection to the club is the reason to do it? And I think that's a bit we've missed a bit in our communication.
Yep.
And you just highlighted that in spades,
Yep.
that there's value in knowing.
Yep.
So you can communicate that out.
The thing is that I guess at a sports club, you're always competing. You want to beat the other club.
That's right. That's right.
And yeah, I think that I know my club. We're one of the most competitive clubs out there.
Another like a competitive volunteer, right?
Yeah. So and that's sort of that drives a lot of what our people do.
Yeah.
We want to be the
top
best.
Down,
and I think that we're always striving to be better. And I guess this app and Firefly was one way that we thought we can use it as an engagement tool, and we'll continue.
That's awesome.
Going forward. Yeah.
What would you love to see? What if you could have a wish list and you went magic wand, based on what you know about volunteering, and you've been across not only the sports admin side, you're in council now, and you're also, as you said, highly connected community. Magic wand, wave the magic wand. What does it look like?
I guess from a standpoint, I'd like to know. Obviously, I think that if you gamify it a little bit, and sort of say, we're competing these clubs in your area. These are the volunteer hours. This volunteers put this sort of. That's maybe me speaking, but I sort of.
So you're saying interclub, because we were thinking inter-volunteer gamification for the club. So things like the potential that if you can motivate your volunteers to go out into the community, add value back to the Firefly network. Introduce us to a couple of businesses that like community, maybe do some hours, maybe refer another org or something that's showing you're connected to the whole thing. But I hadn't thought about the inter-organisation competitive side. That's interesting.
Yeah, because you only got to look at stuff like Toyota Good for Footy and Good for Cricket Raffles, and they've all got leaderboards. Obviously, they're fundraising platforms, but you always know where you are, and you've got to rank it. You log in, you see your ranking and stuff like that. That'd be cool.
So it's a downstream. Come on, guys, pull your share.
Get your hours in. And also drive people. When they do get to a level like it might be $50 gift card or whatnot on there, it actually drives a little bit more. I can see it engaging as well. Like people think, I'll help out. I'll sign up for an account. I'll do that. So I guess there's a lot of different arms and
that's it where we're trying to play with.
But I'll leave that sort of to you guys.
Well, the new app coming out in late July. We've already got designs in place. We hit a few hurdles. Little hurdles was we had a lot of volunteers that went across orgs. And we'd only built this Chinese wall around an org, so we didn't have that ability to easily translate hours and show growth in both orgs. So that was one. We talked briefly about the concepts around how do we drive organisations that have got derived value sitting latent, like memberships or who knows, it could be anything. You might have something of value that you can bring to the table into a network that you could deliver back to volunteers, both your own and or. We're playing around with one, which is it's a fairly early days. We're talking about doing the world's largest volunteer auction with time only.
Wow,
So the concept is at the end of this year, we're hoping to get around to a heap of small businesses and talk to them about a $100 voucher, minimum $100 voucher, and we're going to get as many as we can, and we're going to open up for 24 hours into the platform, and anyone can come in and bid on these items at a lot lower rate than your transition rate. Because your transition rate is designed to reduce the amount of gifts I give out, because we're currently writing a lot of the checks as well, to incentivise and try and show our appreciation back to the community. So what do you think about an auction like the concept of a flash auction or
that'd be cool. It's sort of like eBay.
That's exactly right. It's almost it. Only entry is ours, so it'd be a bit of fun.
That'd be cool. I think that I definitely want to be part of that.
Well, you're going to easily get there, mate. And what we're hoping is that you don't have to bid exorbitant amounts of hours to get a great outcome for you and your family. That's the concept. And then the other ones that seem to be interesting from our perspective is what we're calling the community token, which is going to be launched in August. And that's the concept where you exactly almost, I hadn't had the org versus org, but it was the inter organisation side with volunteers, which is fundraising.
Yep.
That we want to find organisations, and when I say orgs, there's the blend of an organisation doing good in community and an organisation doing good in business. So we're going to find small businesses and large businesses that get the value of social impact, get the value of spinning and running a community.
Yep.
And so we're thinking if we can get you to rev up on the network effect, we will downstream drive organisations like Pegasus to you more easily. Because we've got a story to tell. And I'll be honest, you said it, you didn't even know your story. You know what I mean?
That's true,
you didn't even know your story, right? We want to tell your club story to a wider community. And when you talk about competition, the best way to do that is to tell a story that's factual and honest and true. So thoughts, high level on that concept?
No, I think I'm all for it, mate. I'm a believer in a way.
You
but,
are,
but like
I haven't even twisted your arm either or anything like that, have I?
No, we've been sort of singing from the same hymn book in a way, and I think it's hard to get volunteers,
really hard,
and hard to retain them, and hard to attract them, and I guess that you see some groups that are at the point where they're struggling. I think that I guess the motivation obviously as well is clubs will look at any way that they can get extra funds, and it's hard to get funding.
Oh, it's so hard. What's a good number on that number? Like if I said to you, I can write a check today, and you go, but I need your support to do a few things. I need you to jump a couple of hurdles, introduce you to a couple of businesses. What do you think is the threshold for that, money-wise? What would you take? Like, what's important to you? Where does the number start?
Any money that we get at a club can go to great use. So something as little as a few $100 can replace training balls for a junior team. Something bigger picture can go to buying a new TV or like a line marking machine to mark the boundaries with, or to paint the lines for the curating, and your bigger ticket amounts of money can go towards buying a new roller, or from the cricket sense, or
huge.
Upgrading your nets or whatnot, replacing bits and pieces that need to be done. So I guess there's all different levels of investment, and it's all suitable, a case by case basis. When we're not from my club's perspective, we're not a highly financially big club with big backers or anything like that. We sort of try and.
What's the average sponsorship? How many sponsors would you have?
We've got probably six businesses who contribute to the club, but I guess there's a lot of in-kind sponsorship that goes on. The local butcher, he'll donate meat trays,
the old meat trays,
and we'll raffle them off, and you might make our volunteers will make us an extra $100 or $200 on a Thursday night. People will donate gear. People will get gift cards that we raffle off and stuff like that.
So really, in truth, your money is membership. Membership, a small proportion based on sponsorship packages and business, which would be very challenging to tell that story in tough economic conditions as well, and then gifts and contributions by good doers, good businesses who are prepared to add value. What's really interesting to me, and this has always been the Firefly mission, is how do you tell them through using the butcher that you've actually gone back and given them a red hot crack?
I guess that, like from say the butcher example, is that it's more a kindness piece what they do for us. The recognition piece we give them is they'll come to the presentation, they'll get the plaque, they'll have a little sign on the wall or on the fence. But it's interesting, like you'll do that, but a lot of for somebody that's done that, but actually the volunteers are driving that. They're the ones driving to pick up the meat tray. They're the ones selling the raffle tickets. At the end of the year, the volunteers not getting the plaque or putting their name on the fence or something like that. So it's really an interesting piece. But how do you reward
It's really
that
tricky.
person?
It's really
Yeah,
tricky. And
yeah.
then the other one is then the question mark is like if you can intersect the two, and that's where we were designed from, right? Intersecting the two, where you go, what's the butcher's name? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Pierce Street Meats.
Pierce Street Meats. And by the way, I've done that, and people go, I forgot. All right, I know that's okay too, because I've got signs on the fence at our footy club that I can't remember either, because they just become the norm. Yeah, like someone's paid $4,000 to get it up, and it just blends into the norm. So the concept there is, so imagine if you went to the butcher and said, okay mate, you're going to give away 50 meat trays, whatever it is. That's a fair bit of money. That's a fairly good sponsorship when you break it down. $100, that's $5,000 a year, right? He gets invited to the thing. Imagine if, and we'll throw it out there, do you think he would give a discount to volunteers, knowing how much he cares about your club, for them coming back and using his services?
I'd hope
You'd think so.
And I hope my people, I know personally, people, the volunteers that pick up the meat trays, they end up buying a couple of steaks or sausages or hamburgers or whatever from the shop. So
correct.
he's actually, by donating to the club, he's actually getting a direct return by somebody walking through the door that's in the area. You hope.
You hope, don't you? This is the problem. And they say hope is not a strategy. Right? That's a funny thing,
and I guess it's obviously a goodwill piece, but you'd love to be able to quantify it and say, oh well, 20. And there is some organisations that can do that through membership cards and bits and pieces that you can track people.
But you kind of want it to be organic, don't you?
Exactly.
You want it to be simple, not overbearing. Because I think once you're trying to talk to someone that's always giving, to make them do that extra thing, it's a really awkward conversation. So we're new app. We'll build some of that in so that you can onboard your butcher.
That'd be cool.
You can onboard the butcher. And the even cooler piece that we're going to build in is that when you onboard the butcher, if he's happy to onboard and he pays a small transaction fee back to the Firefly network, you get a percentage of that as well as a passive across the whole of the area of volunteers, not just yours. So that's that intersection piece where I think there's a really big opportunity to work closely with businesses who don't even realise the value they can give just by opening their doors to volunteers. And there's a journey in that one. All right, so let's get to the official bit because I know you're cold. I'm cold sitting outside. Daryl, just to let you know, we're not in Queensland, mate, so we are looking shivering. It's because we are. Daryl's been doing a few in Queensland.
Oh, great!
And it's been really nice to see the conversation unfold. If you get a chance, jump online and have a look because there's some amazing people doing amazing things. There was a young girl that Daryl interviewed that set up an organisation called Letters of Hope. And Letters of Hope, she has 800 volunteers that write hopeful letters, handwritten, signed, and delivered to people feeling a little bit under despair. She said she doesn't know how does she say thank you to those volunteers, right? But you just think about how many organisations out there in Australia doing amazing things, whether it's a sports club, a charity, a church, it doesn't really matter. If you're in it and you're making a difference, then you're a good human. And that's what this is all about, right? Good humans. So we're going to look over here. This is a $250 Wish gift card contributed by Firefly in this instance because we wanted to basically put people like you on a pillar. And we want to say thank you, mate, for being an awesome human and being an amazing individual. So that's yours. We would only ask that you continue to spread the word.
Will do.
That if we can somehow work out a way to come out here and get in front of a wider group of people, business or otherwise, you've only got to shout and we'll get out here because we really care. You're one of our starting places out west and I'm down south, so it's a decent trek out here, but you've jumped on board, as have some of the scouting groups and the like, so it's been awesome. Thanks so much.
Fantastic, mate. Thank
Appreciate
you very
your time.
much.